You're welcome back to the program. If it's just joined us, you're watching Business Incorporated from Channels Television. Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee is expected to announce a new monetary policy direction. All eyes are on the MPC for the outcome of this meeting. What are some of the expectations? Let's hear from the private sector perspectives on the program, as we've been joined by the Director of Research and Advocacy at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, Vincent Nwani. Good afternoon, Vincent.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the program. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee will announce the decision at the end of this two-day meeting tomorrow. What are your expectations from the perspective of the organized private sector?
From the organized private sector, we will be looking at NPC to address some of the issues they were not able to address in the first meeting they had in 2016. And the issue is very popular and very clear, the exchange rate issue, the exchange rate crisis. In the meeting in January, they almost completely left out the consideration of the impact of exchange rate policies and the situation we find ourselves. In that meeting, we're expecting the MPC to live up to the bidding and promise by this current CBN regime. The trust is that they want to grow jobs, they want to make the productive sector stable. This is not happening right now. The private sector is on a near shutdown, if not shut down already. And this is exactly the message we want them to look at. We're not expecting them to just move the rate forward or backward. This is the traditional MPC, but we want them to take a very positive stand on letting on easing the foreign exchange environment, especially in the supply side. Some policies we're expecting supposed to increase the supply side because the exchange rate demand management embarked upon by the CBN over the last 8 to 9 months is hurting the supply side of the market even more than the demand side. The demand of FX have been very strong and stable at the level it was, but supply is almost dried off by more than 70%. That is the message we're sending to them as they sit around that table this afternoon to see what they can do to increase supply of FX into the market, because the productive sector is near shutdown and job losses is now rampant.
Okay, I know that the FX issue is a very sensitive one for businesses out there. We hope that will be addressed. But when we look at the economy and inflation at a 3-year high, do you think this will drive the direction of the monetary policy?
Of course, you know that the monetary policy or the major thrust is to make sure that the price is stable, and that is inflation, exchange rate, and interest rates. You know, these are very well-respected policymakers, and the team very, very strong. So the inflation is not 11.4, 11.6%, more than single-digit interest rate, more than the CBN target of single-digit. That is also a concern. But again, the source of this inflation rate is not necessarily from the reduction and the MPC rate done in January, from 13% to 11%. It is mostly from the imported or exchange rate flow. You know, so again, we need to look at it, and that is why I said initially that we don't expect the traditional policy framework of just looking at exchange interest rates, how to move it forward or backward, or how to retain it. But a strong statement or strong policy need to happen regarding what happens to exchange rates, because this is a major source that have fueled inflation over the last few months. And if we leave things if we leave these rates as they are right now, it's going to be a little bit tough over the next few months.
Well, thank you so much, Vincent Nwani, Director, Research and Advocacy at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The National Economic Council, this retreat has opened in Abuja with a call from the President to come up with recommendations required for the country's economic development. President Muhammadu Buhari listed 4 key sectors of the economy: agriculture, power, manufacturing and housing as some of the areas that require urgent attention.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these suggestions I am putting forward to you are by no means directives, but a contribution to your discourse. Why was farming so successful 60 years ago? The answers are simple. One, access to small-scale credits. Two, inputs, fertilizers, herbicides, etc. And three, extension services. Now we have better tools, better agricultural science and technology, and greater ability to process. With determination, we can succeed. Power. Nigeria's favorite talking point and butt of jokes is the power situation in our country. But ladies and gentlemen, it's no longer a laughing matter. We must, and by the grace of God, we will put things right. In the 3 years left for this administration, we have given ourselves a target of 10,000 megawatts. Achieving affordable housing for all Nigerians will require the development of strong and enduring mortgage institutions with transparent processes and procedures. Mortgage refinancing company, this institution, when fully operational, should ensure adequate support for mortgage financing. Healthcare. In attacking the challenges of this sector, we must start with one, more funding for health centers to improve service delivery. World Bank and World Health Organization could be persuaded to increase their assistance. Strengthening public health propaganda and primary prevention. Environmental sanitation, stop smoking, better dieting and exercise, and secondary prevention, screening, and early diagnosis of diseases.
The 2016 Africa CEO Forum is currently underway in Abidjan, the capital of Côte d'Ivoire. Business News producer Temple Ashaja joins me now to give us an update on the event. Hello, Temple.
Good to hear from you, Balaji.
Yeah, just give us some update as to what is going on at that meeting.
Okay, like you know, the event has kicked off and it started, of course, this morning. It's a two-day event and we've seen CEOs from across the continent attending the event. We have the likes of Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the president of Dangote Group of Companies from Nigeria. We also have the president of the Africa Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adeshino, as well as the key organizer of the Africa CEO Forum, Mr. Ben Amin Yameh. He's also, of course, present, and of course, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, who's also present. So this has actually kicked off, and a lot of these leaders are now looking at several issues bordering on Africa, its challenges with regards to its economy, and of course, the security.
Okay, Temple, are there particular issues that these African leaders will bring to the table and the solutions that they're likely to come up with?
Quite a number of things. We know that regional integration is a major concern to chief executives of companies in the continent. For example, the president of Dangote Group of Companies, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, made mention of the fact that regional integration, the lack of that, is creating a huge gap in investments in the continent. He gave his experience, he shared his experience of how he tried to access one of the countries in the world, and because of the fact that he didn't have his visa with him, he was denied access into that country, and he was going to that country for a major investment meeting with key figures in that country. And of course, the president of Africa Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, was able to re-echo that issue, talking about the fact that, look, if the biggest man in Africa can't get access into this country we're talking about, how do we then iron out issues of integration with regards to investments across the globe? So integration is one, and of course, the AFDB leverage this opportunity to talk about the strategic initiatives they're bringing on the way. It's the 5-point agenda, and it centers around lighting up Africa, feeding Africa, industrializing Africa, integrating Africa, and improving the quality of lives in Africa.
All right,
Now,
thank you
these
so much.
5 key points are what the AFDB is really projecting at the moment.
All right,
Dr.
Temple.
Akinwumi Adesina stressed the fact that
If you can hear me, Temple.
$40 needs to be invested in the
All right, Temple,
continent.
thank you so much for your inputs there. We'll get back to you later on in the course of other bulletins on the station to get you to talk to us about what is going on at the Africa CEO Forum. Temple Ashaju, Channel's business correspondent there in Abidjan. And crude continues its stunning rally to trade back over the $40 level, a price it has not seen since December 2015. Jill Malandrino, VOA Channels TV business correspondent in New York, is joined by Bob Lang of Explosive Options to discuss the momentum in crude and other commodities.
So, Bob, oil has rallied to over $40 a barrel in just 5 weeks. It's been a stunning move. We have not seen that level since December of 2015. Do you think this momentum can continue because the fundamentals haven't changed in terms of production and oversupply?
Right, and you look at the supply side of the equation, that really hasn't changed. But then we look at the other side, which is the demand side, right? And usually that is the area that tends to carry prices a little bit higher. So there's been a lot of estimates that maybe China demand is starting to pick up, and elsewhere around the world, European demand is starting to pick up. So if that does increase the demand for crude, in this year, or even out to 2017, we're going to see crude prices continue to rise. I think they went down a little bit too far last week.
How about with the dollar moving lower? We saw a rally in commodities across the board, whether it was gold, silver, copper, although I think copper is more of a demand thing than just trading off of the lower dollar. Do you think that had anything to do with it as well? Or do you really see industrial demand picking up for commodities?
Yeah, I do see some of that demand picking up because there's a lot of countries out there that need a little bit more work. And look, when you look at China, right, they're doing everything they can to try and keep that growth rate up there. They're 7%. They predicted they were going to be 7% last year. They were spot on. And they're saying that they're going to deliver that kind of growth in 2016. I'm a little bit more skeptical when it comes to that unless they're doing some manipulating with their currency and so forth, but that's a whole other issue. But I do think that on the demand side, they can certainly have enough people out there to have plenty of business to put the commodities to work through the end of the decade. Actually, they have plans through 2020, maybe even 22, to put some of that industrial production to work. So that could definitely work.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob.
Thanks, Jill.
In New York City, I'm Jill Malandrino for Channels TV.
Thanks a lot, Jill. We'll go on a break now, and we'll be right back.